unicorns, and welcome back to my channel. If this is indeed the first time that you're on my channel, my name is Vanessa and I, and I would like to welcome you into the fam. So first and foremost, I want each and every one of you to know that you are divinely guided to hear these messages and to watch this video. Know that everything happens for a reason, just like you tuning into this pick a card reading. So the messages that we're going to be uncovering today for you are all messages that you need to hear that are going to affect the next 3 months or 90 days of your life especially. So while we may speak a little bit on the past as well as the far future, we are mostly going to be talking about the messages that are here for you now and that affect your immediate future. And in order to help you figure out exactly what those messages are and what your guides, the universe, wants you to hear, I have prepared 4 groups that you can choose from, and I would like you to pick one of these 4 groups intuitively. So just go with whichever stone resonates with you. Representative of group number 1, we have the white aragonite. Group number 2 represents the orange calcite. Group number 3 represents the cognac calcite, and group number 4 corresponds to the tiger eye. But to make things as easy and comfortable as possible for you, I have linked the timestamps to all 4 groups in the description box, as well as pinned them to the comment section for quick and easy access from your mobile devices and of course your laptops. So because I want to keep this intro nice and short, I'll get straight into the readings, starting off with the first group, which corresponds to the white aragonite. And to all of my other lovely groups, I will catch you at the click of your timestamp. Hello group number 1, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the white aragonite, group number 1, and I want to figure out exactly what messages that you were meant to receive today. So let's move straight into your reading. We have the King of Bottles as well as the 9 of Cigarettes. Now group number 1, I want you to know here in the King of Bottles that you were meant to receive this message about this person who has this water sign energy about them, okay? Pisces energy, Cancerian type of energy, as well as Scorpio energy. Those are all of the water sign elements, the water sign energies of the zodiac. So I do want you to know here in the King of Bottles that somebody who has a lot of that in their birth chart and really embodies that is going to have an effect on your life. I see here in correspondence to the 9 of Cigarettes that this has to do with the areas of your life where you feel creatively inspired. But I also see here in the 9 of Cigarettes that in a way it's going to be a lot of work. Now, a lot of work in correspondence to somebody who is represented in the King of Bottles, it could have different meanings that we have yet to figure out. But just think, for one, a lot of work could, for example, be a relationship, whether it is a happy relationship or one that causes you a lot of stress. Every relationship needs some sort of work, right? Every relationship is sometimes going to make you tired. Sometimes even the relationship that you have with yourself, but it could also be a relationship that is a work relationship where this person is trying to push you to get out of your shell more or to deliver more than you're really comfortable with or more than you would like to, because maybe you just need more time for self-care. Either way, I see here in the 9 of Cigarettes that you're being called to be very careful with your energy reserves and to make sure that you don't get pressured or emotionally blackmailed into giving more of yourself and your time than you feel comfortable with. Mental health is so important, and sadly in this day and age, a lot of people still find a way to dismiss it, but don't listen to that, group number 1. You know what is best for you, and that is one of the messages that you are called to hear today, okay? There's a reason why you've tuned into this reading. Next up, we have the Jade. The Jade stands for being the bigger person. Now this ties in so beautifully with what we spoke about in the King of Bottles as well as the 9 of Cigarettes. Being the bigger person is in letting them have their opinion, letting them think whatever they want, but still knowing what's best for you and sticking by that and not compromising your self-worth or your integrity just to make another human being feel better about the fact that they're pressuring you or emotionally blackmailing you. But that's the thing. A lot of people who emotionally blackmail others, they want the person who they are emotionally blackmailing to make them feel better about the fact that they are are doing this, the fact that they are being toxic or mentally abusive. But that's where in the Jade, you just kind of need to take a step back, be the bigger person, and make sure that you're not falling into any of those traps. But let's move further into your reading, shall we? Let's see what other crystal messengers are present here today for you. So we have the lapis lazuli next. In the lapis lazuli, I do see here that you're being called to make a decision, group number one. So if you feel like you can't take it anymore, if you feel like the situation is just too toxic and negative for you, it is time for you to make that decision to stay or go, to either know that you can be the bigger person or to just simply step away and leave. Because even though you try to be the bigger person, sometimes it can get to you and sometimes it's really not even worth it, and it's better to step away after the fact that you show them that you're the bigger person. But you know what? I'm still not going to invest any more time and energy into this situation. That's just how big I am. Think of it that way. Next, we have envy. Okay, so group number one, I can see here that it's important for you to know, especially during these next 90 days of your life, that you were meant to understand some people are envious of your situation, and they're going to be especially envious at how your year is kind of coming to an end and beginning in 2021. I want you to know here in envy that you believe that you are the same as everybody, and everybody has different challenges, but at the end of the day, we're all human, right? And we're all the same, but not everybody feels that way about you and themselves. And often envy is just a reflection really of how that person feels of themselves. So somebody who's, say, even jealous of you, that's just a reflection of how they feel about themselves and the fact that maybe they don't feel like enough. So they're looking for something to pick apart on you. But that is where, keep in mind, in the Jade, being the bigger person is usually the best route, because a lot of times people want to egg you on. They want you to engage in toxicity. If not, they wouldn't be displaying that behavior or trying to kind of like egg you on, trying to get you mad, right? So don't give them what they're looking for. Next, we have relationships. So I can see here that you're very much attracted to people who serve your highest good in these next months. So don't feel as though the message that you need to hear is just staying away from everybody because everybody is envious. That's not at all the case. The envy is just a small portion. It is just one thing that you might have to deal with. Also here in correspondence to the King of Bottles, sometimes there can even be jealousy in relationships, romantic and platonic. But it's important for you to understand here in relationships that at the end of the day, you are attracting more and more of your real vibe and tribe. And it can feel like your relationships are fizzling out or thinning out when you feel like a lot of people aren't in your life anymore, or they don't really get you. But often it gets very lonely before all of a sudden you find a big part of your tribe. Often you lose a lot of connections in your life before you're starting on a completely fresh ground and you're able to meet a lot of new people who really get you and where you feel like, yes, I do have like a great friend group. A lot of times feeling alone, like you don't have really many people or anybody, is the result of this transformation at first, right? Because you're shedding your old skin and the new people need a little bit of time to recognize you, need a little bit of time to recognize that who you were in the past is not who you are moving forward and that you get them. Next, we have the Moon on Water. In the Moon on Water, you are being called into this reading to remind yourself that your intuition doesn't lie, honey, okay? So energy doesn't lie when you enter a room. Trust your instinct, trust that gut feeling. The same goes for any types of relationships, especially with water signs. I am a water sign myself, and let me tell you, when you intuitively feel like a water sign doesn't like you or like a water sign feels away, that's how it is. Because one thing about water signs is the fact that not only are they very intuitive themselves, but you can instinctively and intuitively feel when something is up with them, when something is wrong with them. They are so close to their emotions and to their feelings that it's really pretty undeniable when something is going on beneath the surface. So that is where in the Moon on Water, regardless of what sign of the zodiac you are, group number one, trust your intuition and your gut instinct on your relationships and how to move forward positively, which relationships you maybe need to strip away from your life as well. Next, we have the ancestor. Now, group number 1 in the ancestor, I do see here that delving a little bit through your own personal ancestral history. Oh, okay, we have the guardian as well that just popped out of the pile in a very strange way. I see here that you're being protected first and foremost by your ancestors. That's why the guardian popped out of the pile as soon as we began to talk about the ancestors. Now, that is something that is really amazing to feel, to hear. You may even feel a little bit of like a sensation of almost like somebody behind you, somebody watching you in these next weeks. And I want you to know here that it all has to do with this ancestral energy. You may want to look a little bit further into your heritage, where you're from, different rituals and ways how people used to lead their life, and adopt some of that ancestral history into your everyday life now. For example, if your ancestors used to burn sage, or if your ancestors used to do different rituals that you feel could really benefit you now and make you feel more connected to your lineage and really just those roots of yours, feel free to implement those rituals and now, and maybe even get other people involved who have a similar or the same heritage, but you don't need to. Even if you have friends who are of a completely different ethnic background, you'll be surprised at how many people are interested to learn of other cultures and other people's heritage. Then we have the 6 of arrows. So in the 6 of arrows, I see that you are called to be here because you are being kind of alerted of the fact that you're going through a transition now, and this transition is one that can cause this type of envy. This transition is one that some people will be a little bit jealous of. So the transition might result in you having just more abundance in your life in general, just more that you can be proud of and other people are honestly just jealous of. That is one thing that I see here in the 6 of arrows, but you're sailing from stormy weather to weather that is a little bit more easy to navigate. Next, we have the labradorite. So in the labradorite, I see that you should be focusing on seeing the magic rather than seeing any type of thing that is holding you back, that is stopping you from moving forward. I see that sometimes a little bit of a pessimistic outlook, or an outlook that reflects insecurity when it comes to your capabilities. That is where I see here in the labradorite that you have to remind yourself of the magic of thinking big, just as one of my favorite book titles. Do know that thinking big and seeing the magic, seeing all of the amazingness that you can create and all that you are actually capable of if you just allow yourself to believe, that is one thing that can help you get through any difficult time, and that you should also follow your intuition on. If you intuitively know that you're meant to be someone who is well known, somebody who helps other people, a great artist or creator, don't try and shun that voice and that feeling and intimidate it into going away. Know that if that is something that you've had in you even since you've been a kid, that you're most likely meant to live out those feelings and not see it as just a fantasy or a dream. It is part of your destiny. Next, we have the appetite. So in the appetite, get out of your comfort zone, group number 1. And that is one thing that the appetite is almost like screaming at you to do. So getting out of your comfort zone when it comes to these different things that you've always dreamt of doing, even just taking one step towards it. What's the worst thing that could happen, right? So get out of that comfort zone and remind yourself that the bigger your comfort zone is, the more you can live, the more you can experience. If your comfort zone is, for example, just your job, your education, the friends that you already know, the surroundings that you are already used to, then of course everything, your entire reality is just going to happen in there. But the more you expand your comfort zone of things that you're comfortable in engaging with and talking with, people who you're comfortable being around, talking to strangers even, that is where you can grow. That is where you can have new experiences come into your life because you're not shutting them out. You're actually expanding expanding the zone in which you feel comfortable and in which you can engage in, and that will bring more possibility and opportunity. It's a very logical thing, right? The more you put yourself out there, it's like buying lottery tickets, right? The more tickets you buy, the more you heighten your chances of getting lucky. If you never buy a lottery ticket, you'll never expect to win anything, and you couldn't, right? Because you never even put yourself out there enough to be in that position. So look at things that way, try and take chances. Know that even if the chance is 1 in a million or 1 in 1,000, at least you bought that ticket and that chance exists. So why shouldn't it be you? Group number 1, we are at the end of your reading of the things that you are meant to hear. I truly hope that you enjoyed this reading and that you found it insightful. Leave a little champagne bottle emoji down below in the comment section. I don't drink, but I think it's a really fun emoji. And that way you can let me and others know that this is the group that you ended up choosing and that you made it to the end. Now, group number 1, I hope you're staying safe and doing amazing, and I'll catch you in another video. Hello, group number 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the orange calcite, group number 2. Let's do a quick close-up of the stone of your choice, an absolutely beautiful gem that is not only re-energizing and revitalizing, but also in a way gives you a lot of that warmth and sunshine that you may need. But let's move into your reading on exactly what it is that you were destined to hear, these messages that were made for you. We have the 3 of Pills as well as the Knight of Cigarettes. Now in the 3 of Pills, one thing that I can see here is that you are being called to kind of like end this year and start the fresh calendar year with a bang when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your career. Give yourself that extra push to get things done and to really knock it out of the park. I can see here in the Knight of Cigarettes that type of energy that gets you to put your all into projects and gets you to just have that extra little bit of income, have that extra little bit of material wealth. If you desire to have that option be a part of your life, it's something that you should go for. So don't feel as though, oh, well, you know, it's busy or I can't do it. No, group number 2, you are destined to put in the work, put in the effort just for the next weeks and months and see miraculous results. So have fun doing it. In the Knight of Cigarettes, we have somebody who is adventurous. We have someone who thinks outside of the box and isn't afraid to confront a hurdle and to overcome it. Next, we have the Red Jasper. The Red Jasper is all about taking action. So if the universe couldn't have been any clearer before, I mean, it surely is as clear as ever now in the Red Jasper. Take action, group number 2. There's a reason why you were meant to hear this message, and you most likely are already thinking it now while watching this video, what you need to take action on, okay? Whether it be getting those last errands done and run, whether it be cleaning up your space, or finishing that project as successfully and meticulously as you know you should. Group number 2, I'm calling you out, the universe is calling you out. Take action on the things that you know you inevitably need to do early on so that it's not just lying around and kind of like sitting in the back of your mind, taking up valuable space, time, and energy. Get those things done immediately, get them out of the way so you can move on with your life and focus on more fun things. Next up, we have the Sunstone. Now in the Sunstone, one thing that I see that you're being called to do is to take pleasure in little mundane things. So instead of feeling like, oh, I don't want to clean up or I don't want to cook something for myself, kind of twist the view, change the outlook that you have on these topics and say to yourself, wow, I'm so grateful that I even have a space to clean. So many people would wish that they had what I have. Oh, I'm so grateful that I even have food and different options that I'm able to prepare for myself, because not everybody has that privilege. And even if everybody did, it's still something to be grateful for, still something you should remind yourself of when little mundane day-to-day tasks kind of get on your nerves or make you feel as though, oh, this is a dreadful thing. Group number 2, keep in mind that you decide whether it is a dreadful thing or not. So make the conscious effort and choice to enjoy everything that you do, whether it is a little cleaning task or actually your favorite activity. Next, we have the appetite. Now, the appetite is urging you to get out of your comfort zone, group number 2. And in correspondence to the 3 of Pills as well as the Sunstone, I see that getting out of your comfort zone involves having a bit more fun and not being so hard on yourself when it comes to your work as well as anything that you're doing creatively. The Knight of Cigarettes is a very creative person, but sometimes they can get in their head and really scrutinize their own work to the point that they can't even see what others see in it. They don't see the same value. They always kind of like undervalue themselves, and not just in the work department, but sometimes also physically. Like for instance, picking apart any photo of yourself, just any little part of who you are on the outside. So that is where you're being called to get out of this little space that you have carved out where you can be as hard on yourself as you want to be and move into a space where you're treating yourself like you would treat others. You're most likely not as hard on others as you are on yourself. Give yourself that same benefit of the doubt more often, group number 2. Next, we have the Aragnoite. So in the Aragnoite, I see here that you are being called to hear that you have to find a way to forgive. Now, group number 2, who hurt you, who made you feel lesser than, who really just hit that sore spot and you can't quite forgive them. That is a message that was meant for you in this reading. There's a reason why you were called into this video, and it is trying to communicate to you that you have to find a way to forgive. Continuing to carry any type of emotion around with you that isn't helpful, that isn't here for anybody's highest good, not yours, not the person's highest good who hurt you, which you may actually not be interested in what their highest good is, which I completely get, but at the same time, keep in mind that you have to get rid of that toxicity. You have to get rid of those negative emotions in order to feel more free and in order to not have this kind of grudge that you're carrying around with you that can actually manifest itself into a real thing, into real ailment. So be very careful when it comes to holding grudges and never really letting go or forgiving. Next, we have the 10 of Arrows. Now in the 10 of Arrows, I see that you just need a little bit of guidance and a little bit of instruction. And the universe is here to provide for you, group number 2. That's why you're sitting here right now. Let's see what the instruction is. To be dedicated to it. Now, group number 2, one of the reasons why you haven't completely been able to let go of a grudge that you've been holding or let go of negative emotions that you have attached to somebody who hurt you very badly and did you wrong, and we all know who that person is, group number 2. I see here in the 9 of Arrows that the universe is trying to get you to dedicate yourself to truly letting go this time, not just saying, oh, you'll do it, but then secretly still holding that grudge and secretly still hating that person, but actually dedicating yourself to making them nothing, okay? To making them nothing to you, to detaching any type of emotional charge that you had sitting there in conjunction to thinking of those memories and just clearing the slate, making it an actual blank slate. So they don't hold any emotional power over you anymore whatsoever. Next, we have the Knight of Arrows. The Knight of Arrows is very observant, and that is where the universe is trying to communicate to you that you have to observe yourself very carefully at this point in time. Pay close attention to not only how you're speaking to yourself, but also how dedicated you are to taking action and how dedicated you are to letting go of any type of difficult situation that you're going through emotionally. Look at yourself in a very real way. Call yourself out, group number 2. You know that that's usually what I'm here for, but today the universe is trying to tell you to do that for yourself. Call yourself out when you're avoiding getting out of your comfort zone. Call yourself out next time that you're procrastinating. Now, don't make yourself feel bad, but call yourself out on the fact that sometimes you know exactly what you're doing, but you just act a little bit aloof. Next, we have the 4 of Stones. So in the 4 of Stones, I can see here that a lot of this behavior can stem from a place of just wanting to protect yourself, not getting out of your comfort zone, or not fully forgetting a situation, forgiving a person because you don't want it to happen again. I completely get that, group number 2. However, the 4 of Stones, when you're holding on to something too strongly, let's just make it very simple there, that that can actually cause a lot of friction. That is actually something that can end up squeezing your flow to abundance so tightly that it's hard for you to reach your highest potential in the earthly realms in your career. So your emotions really do have an effect on your earning potential and just how much freedom you have both spiritually as well as in the material realm. Keep that in mind. Next, we have doubt. So in doubt, I want you to release any of that. I see here that a message that you were meant to hear that was specifically created for you was to repeat this mantra to yourself. I release the need to know all the answers. Stop doubting yourself ahead of time. Stop feeling like you need to know the answers before you move out of your comfort zone or before you try something new. You're never going to know whether it works ahead of time, so you might as well just free yourself of those mind games of feeling like, I don't want to try something else. I don't want to give this person a chance unless I know that we're going to work out, unless I know that it's going to be a success. None of us have the privilege of knowing that, of truly ever 100% having security of the fact that things will work out. I don't have that either. There was always that little bit of unknowingness, and that's something that you're being called to learn to live with a little bit more appropriately. One thing that I can see here in blame is the fact that you have to remind yourself that often blaming yourself can cause a lot of damage, whereas just accepting is something that can help you actually move forward. So accepting responsibility for the fact that doubt is something that holds you back, but don't blame the doubt. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame the fact that you sometimes procrastinate. Just accept responsibility for what impact it may have from time to time, or what impact your actions may have had up until this point, but then redirect your energy towards finding a way to clear doubt, to clear any type of overly strong need for security like we have here in the Four of Stones, to clear that out and remind yourself that we are all on a path that we don't know very much about, right? We're all leading this life not being 100% sure how it's gonna go, where we're gonna end up. So learn to still lead a fulfilled and happy life, even in this unknowingness, about your financial future, in this unknowingness about your love life, your personal life. If you wait till you have the answers as to whether you'll be happy, whether you'll have a beautiful family, a beautiful marriage, or a highly successful career, waiting for those answers will mean that you are going to be waiting for an entire lifetime. So don't throw away your time like that. It is so invaluable and precious. Live every moment without feeling like you need an answer before you can be happy, or you need to definitively know before you can relax. Chill out now, group number 2. That's one of the main messages that you were meant to hear. Now, group number 2, we are at the end of your reading, and I truly hope that you found it insightful as well as motivational. Leave a little balloon emoji down below in the comment section to let me and others know that you made it to the end of your reading. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll catch you in another video. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Cognac Calcite group number 3. Let's do a quick close-up of your beautiful gem. Just absolutely love the different cognac colored shades that are in here. So let's move into your reading to figure out exactly what messages were meant for you and that are going to be affecting your immediate future. So we have the 3 of bottles as well as the 9 of bottles. We have a lot of water sign kind of energy, water sign energy, Pisces energy, Cancerian energy, Scorpio energy. That is energy that is highly emotional. So even if you are not a water sign, do know that these energies are affecting you especially intensively these next few weeks. So I do see here in the 3 of bottles that having fun with friends, with family, that is one thing that you're really craving, and something that you are supposed to engage in as much as you possibly can. Of course, in a safe way. Make sure that you're following your country's restrictions and regulations. Next up, we have the Nine of Bottles. So in the Nine of Bottles, one thing that I can see here is emotional fulfillment. Now, in correspondence to the Three of Bottles, that shows me here that, friendships, platonic relationships, such as with family members, already existing friends, and new friends, that is where you're really blossoming. That is where things are really changing for the better in these next weeks. But there also could be a new person moving into your life. There also could be a new connection that you're forming, and it's coming from a place of where you just get one another, you get one another's humor and jokes, you get their resting bitch face and they get yours, if you know what I mean. So that is where I can see here that emotional fulfillment is coming from a deep understanding and acceptance of one another. Next, we have the Queen of Arrows. So the Queen of Arrows is this type of energy that is very strong, that is very elegant, and shows that you have things under control when it comes to organizing your life and your work. So you may think to yourself, group number 3, girl, if you only knew how unorganized my life was. And let me tell you what, group number 3, in the next few weeks and months, one message that is highly important for you to understand is that just because things have maybe been a little bit disorganized in 2020, maybe a little is a bit of an understatement, but you know what I mean, that doesn't mean that things can't turn around and change like that, okay, in an instance. I do want you to know here in the Queen of Arrows that picking yourself back up, reminding yourself of what you're capable of, as well as the fact that you are an intelligent being that can turn things around for themselves at any given point. I see that that is one of the things that you're going to do very soon for yourself. Next, we have the Pole Star. Now, in the Pole Star, I see that you're doing this because you're experiencing a great increase in hope for yourself. So there is a lot of hope around for these next few weeks, and that is inspiring you to turn your life around. And you're doing so with the help of these connections, of these friendships, of these people who are here supporting you, and you're making full use of your personal support system, of the people who you know that you can count on. Then we have the Page of Vessels. Now, in the Page of Vessels, I can see here that somebody is coming into your life who has this strong water sign energy, group number 3, and this is the type of person who you can teach a lot. So they are not necessarily biologically a lot younger than you, but spiritually, okay? They're a very young soul, and in comparison to them, you are like an old soul. You are the type of person who has more maturity and wisdom, and they find you very fun and interesting, and you're finding that balance between having fun with them, but also kind of showing them a different outlook on life, trying to show them a different way to view things and to guide them into the right direction, giving them the guidance that you wish someone would have given you. Next, we have the World Tree. Now, the World Tree is honestly one of the most favorable cards in the tarot. I see that you were most likely meant to come into this space with me, to be here and share this divine time in this reading, because you need this hope. You need to hear that things are looking up, that fulfillment is on its way, and also that you are able to change things around, because doubt is something that a lot of us carry around on a daily basis. Doubt of whether we're going to be able to accomplish the things that we desire to accomplish, doubt about whether we are truly worthy. So one thing that I can see here is that yes, you know that you're worthy. Yes, you know that you're lovable, but it's so much different when you hear it in your reading, when you hear it through these messages that you are meant to hear in divination, that you're meant to hear from a divine source, from the universe, from your guides, from your angels, however you would like to call it. It is so different when you get that confirmation again through a reading. So I truly get that, group number 3, and I understand that sometimes you just need that extra exterior validation and confirmation. Next, we have forgiveness. So one thing that I can see here is that you need to acknowledge the fact that you're harboring resentment blocks, and those resentment kind of pieces and blocks are getting into the flow of love, okay? They are prohibiting you receiving more love into your life. So I do want you to know here that harboring resentment is something that not only blocks off love, but can turn into like an actual, almost like resentment block. And then before you know it, you're building a whole house out of these blocks. And there's just a lot of resentment for you, for the situation that you were born into or that you've fallen into, maybe for people around you and the things that they have done to harm you intentionally and unintentionally. Resentment is something that can grow a lot bigger and stronger than you would expect it to in a very short amount of time. And that is where I see here an acceptance, that you first need to accept that resentment is something that exists in your realm. It's something that you have to refrain from simply dismissing and saying, oh, well, I'll deal with it later, or I don't really think that I harbor any type of resentment. I see here that you are being called to learn more about accepting things that you can and cannot change, and things that exist but you would rather not. You know how when in a relationship there is always this elephant in the room with certain people, and it is something that you can choose to acknowledge, but sometimes you just pretend like you don't even notice it, or you would prefer to pretend like it's not there. So acceptance is a big step towards then being able to decide whether you want to do something about it, or whether you just simply feel like, okay, this is not something I can change anyways, so at least let me accept it and let me just rest in peace with this knowledge. Next up, we have trust. So in trust, one thing that I can see here is that you are meant to be here to hear the fact that your voice is trustworthy, your intuition is trustworthy. I can see here that your inner voice is guiding you in the right direction. So if you've been wondering what to do next and your inner voice is telling you to go off of a path that you're really not sure about, to go on a journey that is completely new to you, know that your voice, your inner voice, your intuition is guiding you in the right direction, and it doesn't lie compared to human beings especially, okay? So before you listen to somebody, listen to your gut feeling and your intuition, and know that you at least gave yourself the benefit of the doubt before you maybe decided against an idea that you once thought was okay. And at least know that you gave yourself the benefit of the doubt first before you went with somebody else's input or idea. Next, we have the tiger's eye. Now in the tiger's eye, you are being called to overcome the fear of your voice leading you astray. I can see that you do have a little bit of like this trust issue with your intuition, because you feel like it has fooled you in the past, or it has led you into a situation that you weren't completely in agreement with. Let's just put it that way. It's gotten you into some messes, if you will, group number 3. But sometimes things get worse before they get better, and sometimes you have to go through something really difficult and come out the other end after a few weeks and months and understand like, wow, this all makes sense to me right now. So don't be afraid of your intuition leading you into a space that is maybe a bit more difficult than you wanted it to be. It is most likely simply preparing you, strengthening you, training you to be ready for what is yet to come. Next, we have the apophyllite. So in the apophyllite, above all, group number 3, you were meant to see this video, to be in this reading here, to be reminded of the fact that staying positive can already make such a difference. Of course, staying positive isn't always enough. Sometimes that extra effort needs to be put in. If you're not feeling well, you know, getting yourself checked at the doctors is absolutely necessary, but staying positive and your attitude towards life, that makes a huge difference in your quality of life. It's actually scientifically proven that people who have a positive outlook lead more fulfilled, longer, healthier lives than people who are pessimists. So even if you're somebody who is all about facts and realness, look it up, group number 3, because staying positive actually has scientifically proven evidence that confirms that it makes a big positive difference to your life and your existence. So group number 3, this is the reading that I received for you that you were meant to hear right now. I truly hope that you found it insightful and motivational. Leave a little swan emoji down below in the comment section to let me and others know that you made it to the end of your reading. I'm sending you so much love and support, and I'll catch you in another video. Hello group number 4 and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Tiger's Eye group number 4. Let's do a quick close-up of your stone. I absolutely love the Tiger's Eye. It's just such a beautiful gem. Let's move into your reading to figure out exactly why we're here and why you were meant to see this video. We have the Six of Knives as well as the Queen of Bottles. And now group number 4, something that I can see here in the Six of Knives is the fact that in a way you feel called out, you feel cornered, and I see that it's coming from the Queen of Bottles, somebody who is having a very emotional reaction towards your decisions, towards your thought process. So you may be, for example, somebody who is all about human rights and trying to lessen your environmental footprint and so on and so forth, and somebody absolutely does not agree or just kind of chooses one viewpoint to pick that out and tell you, oh, actually it's not wrong. Actually, your theories are false. That is where I see here in the Six of Knives that you are in a way struggling with a difficult situation that's coming up for you. I see here in the Devil that really you are being called into watching this video to kind of warn you of the fact that this is a situation that isn't going anywhere, okay? There is just a dead-end street here for you to go down with this person in the Queen of Bottles. Somebody who takes things very personally, who doesn't take accountability or ownership for anything, and is basically just only pointing out your faults. Now that could be, for example, a boss, somebody you work with, a friend who has turned sour because they can see that you're successful, or a family member that is just having a bad day or jealous as they usually are or have been for a long time, and they're once again letting out their bad mood on you. So that is where I can see here in conjunction to the Devil that you're being called to know that this is more a reflection of them than a reflection of you. So group number 4, do not doubt your worth, your value, anything about yourself because of somebody else's bad mood or somebody else trying to focus on negatives around you. I can see here in the Five of Knives that in conjunction to the Devil as well as the Six of Knives that they are really just hurting themselves. They're going to come to notice very quickly that being rude to you or just overall being overly critical of you is actually just going to hurt the relationship in a way where they can't come to you the way that they usually would be able to depend on you, and just overall that will make you turn to focus on yourself more and less on them, and then they're going to realize like, oh, I really screwed this up. But it might be already too late depending on how lenient you want to be with them, group number 4. I don't blame you if you just cut this person out completely, this Queen of Bottles person who is using a lot of manipulation to try to get their way, but you see right through them, which just makes the situation even worse. You know, like when you're catching somebody in a lie and you're asking them more questions to confirm that they really do want to just stand there and lie straight to your face, and they continue to lie. They continue to dig themselves in a deeper hole, and they continue to like show that, yeah, they really are just gonna stand there and act like, treat you like you're stupid and continue to lie right to your face. And you're just like, wow, really, really, like now I really don't want anything to do with you. Like if you were to have admitted it right from the beginning, right from the start, there could have been hope, but now that the person has showed you that they have truly decided to hang on to the lie, it's just like, it's a no. So group number 4, that is one thing that I see here unfolding sooner rather than later. And I can see here in the Five of Pills that just overall that just makes you not want to help the person with investing any more of your time, energy, or even money in their ventures, especially if they are guilt tripping you financially or to spend more time with them. But at the same time, it's like every time you do, they just make you feel worse than before you met up with them. They make you feel worse than before you talked to them, before you texted them. So that is where I can see here, you were meant to receive this confirmation, group number 4, that it is in fact not you, it's them. Let's move further into your reading. We have the Knight of Bows as well as the Ace of Vessels. So quite quite the contrary to what we have going on up here with the Queen of Bottles. I can see here in the Knight of Bows that there is a new person coming into your life. I see that in conjunction to the Ace of Vessels, which stands for new emotional beginnings. The Ace of Vessels is basically the Ace of Cups in the traditional tarot, because I like to use a lot of different tarot decks. So do know here in the Ace of Vessels that this represents the waters of life and kind of very fertile grounds for new beginnings and fresh relationships. Now you may ask yourself, who is this new person with whom you can establish a fresh relationship, a new connection? I see here in the Knight of Bows that there's somebody who has a lot of air sign energy within them. They are someone who is very sharp, very intelligent. They're still figuring things out to a certain extent, but they kind of know how they want to play things in their life. They know roughly where they're going. I see here in the Six of Stones that they're coming into your life when you're at a very vulnerable point, but so are they. So vulnerable because this situation up here that we have with this kind of like, let's just call it a bit of a negative Nancy with the devil, with this person who is toxic to you, that doesn't make them a bad person. Group number 4, toxic to you. Not toxic to everybody, toxic to you, but you need to remove yourself from the situation. And I can see here that you feel a little bit used and a little bit exploited, and the Knight of Bows feels the same way. They were just going through something themselves, possibly a romantic relationship that they broke off, and now you two get to know one another, and that is where you can really bond. You bond over the fact that you have these experiences that you've just recently been through, and you can share how it made you feel. There's finally somebody who is really just listening to you and taking in what you're saying rather than twisting and turning everything, or just basically determined to take everything that you say the wrong way. So that's where you and the Knight of Bows can find common ground and discuss a lot of deep subjects. Then we have humor. So I can see here that when it comes to this top row and everything that we spoke about, you choose to focus on the lighter side of life. You choose to see things from a fun standpoint, from a standpoint where you're just not taking it too seriously, which is a very mature and smart thing for you to be doing, group number 4. I'm really proud of you for, instead of letting things get to you as you maybe would have in the past, you're turning the page completely emotionally. Again, this is something that the Ace of Vessels represents as well. Then we have friendship. So I can see here that you understand that certain friends and certain connections are in your life for a reason, and often they're in your life for a specific amount of time for a reason as well. Seeing relationships as just being there for a purpose and for a set amount of time can help you understand why that person was there. For example, understanding that not every romantic partner or every friendship is meant to last a lifetime, and some people are just meant to come into your life to teach you a lesson and to be there for a certain amount of time for you to kind of also know what loss feels like, kind of also understand how relationships can grow apart. That is invaluable, seeing things from that standpoint, from that viewpoint, because it makes you understand that you shouldn't be putting any pressure on relationships to last forever, and to understand that some relationships you can keep in good memory, you can keep in a place where you still think highly of the person and you understand that they were just there for a certain amount of support, for a certain lesson that you had to learn, or for a certain time in your life, and then that connection has quote-unquote served its purpose, and you as well as that person can move on with life, keeping one another in a good memory. You don't always need to kind of grow apart and that be a negative thing. Next up, we have the Angel Aura Quartz. Now, the Angel Aura Quartz is a stone that teaches you to lighten up, to have more fun, just like we spoke about here in humor. And I see that the Knight of Bows is somebody who brings more light into your life, more fun. And while you are talking about very deep subjects with this person who just gets you, who just understands you, they never fail to crack a joke. They never fail to bring a little bit of humor into the situation and lighten it up. Then we have the Labradorite, and that is something that allows you to see more of the magic and allows you, especially in a time where maybe you've had a relationship fall apart and it was very nasty, it was very toxic, it was a very huge kind of like explosion of emotions and difficult feelings, you then remind yourself it's actually not that serious. One relationship falling apart, there are almost 8 billion people on this planet. There are a lot of other people I can connect with. There are way bigger problems in this world, in my life, that I can just see the magic in the fact that, hey, things are only as big as I make them out to be. I see that this person in the Knight of Bows really encourages you to see things from a different standpoint and to understand that your mind is such a magical place, just as the Labradorite confirms that you can make things really big in your mind, but you can also make things very small, right? Reality is really something that, quote unquote, doesn't exist, because my reality, or how I see something, is completely different from how you see it. You may, for instance, find that the sky is blue today, and for somebody else, their reality may be that the sky is gray, but you feel like this is the reality, this is the truth. That is how both people feel about the sky in that moment. But what is the truth, right? What is the reality? Do any of them even know the reality, or is that just how our eyes are perceiving it? But the actual reality from another living creature's standpoint is that the sky is like purple. I mean, you know, reality is just such a subjective thing, so do know that you create your own reality. It is a downside, because that is where a lot of arguments and fights happen between us human beings about different viewpoints, because my reality is one way, somebody else's reality is another. So let's also enjoy the fact that because our realities can be so different and because they're so subjective, that also means that we can lighten up our reality at any point of our day, any point of our existence, and change it into exactly what we want it to be. You are that powerful, group number 4, and that is one of the core messages that you are meant to receive, that you're meant to know for your immediate future, that will help lift you, motivate you, and support you. You are powerful, group number 4, and instead of leaving a little emoji down below in the comment section, I want you to leave the phrase "I am powerful" as a mantra, as an affirmation in the comment section, to let me and others know that you made it to the end of your reading. Group number 4, I'm sending you so much love and support, and I will catch you in another video.